Hi, my name is Abbas Haider and I'm from Abraham Lincoln. I did my report on different forms of government. Hey, you're smart, correct? Alright, let me ask you a question. What is the definition of government? A government is a way a group of people rule over citizens and decide rules for that country. Now what does the number in charge plus the ruler's intention equal? Well, it equals government. Let me explain. Over generations and generations of time, humanity has learned that to keep society in order, someone will have to take charge and issue rules to keep the wealthy and the poor balanced. Some forms of government are run on a single leader, like a dictatorship, but others, like an oligarchy, are run by a group of people. We know about our government, but we have to learn about other types of governments and how they work. A type of government that focuses on kings and queens ruling over citizens is called a monarchy. Monarchy means rule by one person. It comes from the Greek origin and composed of the words mono, which means only, and archos, which means ruler. Today I'll be focusing on two types of monarchies, the absolute monarchy and the limited or constitutional monarchy. In the absolute monarchy, the king or queen has total power over the country. In a limited or constitutional monarchy, the king or queen shares his or her power with prime ministers or representatives. An example of a country that was being ruled under an absolute monarchy would be Saudi Arabia. An example of a country that was being ruled under a limited or constitutional monarchy would be Spain. Absolute monarchy is not the only type of government where a single ruler rules the citizens. There's also another government called a dictatorship. Dictatorship comes from the Latin root word dictere, meaning to assert. Today I'll be talking about two types of dictatorships, totalitarianism and authoritarianism. Totalitarianism is where a single dictator or a group of people rule over citizens. Authoritarianism is where a single dictator or a group of people also rule over citizens, but in totalitarianism, the people get to control every aspect of the life of a person. An example of a country that was being ruled under a dictator would be Iraq. Now we're down to our government, a representative democracy. Democracy. Most of you know how it works. It has its citizens, the elections, and the leaders. But where does this word come from? What are the different types of democracies? And how are we affected by this government? Democracy means rule by the people. It comes from the Greek origin and is composed of the word demos, which means people, and kratos, which is strength or power. Today I'll be focusing on two types of democracies, the direct democracy and the representative democracy. The difference between these democracies is that in a direct democracy, voters vote on issues of public concern, whereas in a representative democracy, voters elect representatives who vote on their behalf. Abraham Lincoln once said to describe our government of the people, by the people, for the people. An advantage of living under a democracy would be that it is divided into three branches, the legislative, the executive, and the judicial, and each branch overruns each other, balancing out our government. Republic means rule by the people. It comes from the Greek word publica, meaning public. In a republic, everything has to consent with law, no majority rule. Even though you might think our country is a democracy, it was not meant to be that way. The founders of our country had tried to make our country as a republic because a democracy has always failed in the past for the countries that used it. Do you know the word democracy was never used in the Constitution or the Declaration of Independence? If I had my choice, I would decide to live under a republic because of the way they handle everyone and everything equal using law. In a republic, corruption levels are very low. Trade is also an advantage in a republic because of their economic and personal freedom. Another reason why I would like to live under a republic is because it is unlike a democracy, which is very unstable. In a democracy, if anyone in a city or a state becomes civil unrest, it can lead to a whole government living under an anarchy. A republic, just like a democracy, allows people to vote, but not on state and federal budget. A major downfall in a republic would be that politicians can lie and mislead people to their views. Our government is a representative democracy, and just like any other government, it has its advantages and disadvantages. Each government is influenced by the people that reside in it and how they react to public concerns. As I stated earlier, my wanted form of government is a republic because of the way they handle everything with law. In some governments, such as dictatorships and monarchies, there are single leaders who rule every aspect of the life of a person, whereas in a democracy or a republic, voters get to vote on issues of public concern. Governments also influence the people that reside in it. I hope someday you'll join us and the world will live as one.